Hey everyone, welcome to vlog 8 of 40. I just returned from visiting my neighbors. They had a little girl on Boxing Day and it was such a sweet, beautiful little girl. I had her in my arms for a long time and I really enjoyed it. It was a long time ago that I held a little baby. I still know how to, but it was a joy to be there. And there is Apollo asking permission to come sit on the table. He has had his daily cuddles, of course. But he always wants more. Hi, Poopy. Today I am going to take you along in how I pick needles for my project. As many of you know, I have a web shop and I sell needles. And I sell Xiaogu needles. This is not a marketing YouTube. If you need a new needle and you decide to shop with me, that would be really nice. But that's not the reason I am going to talk to you about needles. The reason for that is that very often I get a question about what size of needle one needs and what length of needle one needs in case of circular needles, of course. Well, the size needles, that is really up to you. You can check the pattern, you can check the band that's on the yarn, but it depends on your hand of knitting. Gauge is very personal, so I can't advise you there. But I can tell you something about what length of needle I pick for different projects. I am the very happy owner of a Xiaogu set and Xiaogu sleeve for my set circulars. This is the interchangeable needles, and in interchangeable I don't have all this in my web shop. I can order everything, of course, but I have the smaller set. So you have needles to US 2 to US 8 here, but on this side there is room for US 9, 10, 10.5, 11, 13 and 15. And we have one size in between 2 and 3. This is 2.75 millimeters and this is 3.25, but we have a 3 millimeter in the middle here, and I always carry 3 millimeter needles in my web shop. I am a sock knitter, so I have these little envelopes to keep my sock knitting needles, and I have some short ones. These are 5 centimeters, these are 3 centimeters, and 3 centimeter is a little over an inch. Okay, so in the interchangeable needle set there are different sizes of cables, and over the years I collected even more cables and cable sizes, and now of course if I need something that I don't have in my set, I shop in my own web shop, of course. Oh, and Xiaogu has many small and large. The larger needle sizes are, let me check the US sizes again because I don't know them by heart. Large are the needle sizes US 9 and up. Small are the needle sizes US 2 to US 8. And mini are the sizes, what are they called? Oh, US 000, 000 to US 1.5. That are minis. And for minis, you need a smaller cable, like this one. This is very small. If you compare it to a regular cable, you can see there's a big difference. And I like to use my small cables because you can imagine that the stitches slide over this like effortless. But for example, I am using US 3 here, and I just explained that they don't fit on the small cables because this is on the mini cables because this is from the small set. So I have a little piece in between the cable and the needle to make sure that these needles fit on this cable. This is one way to knit with a magic loop. I think many of you know how it works. You pull out the back needle, swish it around so that you can knit the stitches from the front needle. And like I said, since there's a mini cable in here, it is effortless to work them. For socks and leg warmers, I also like to use the 9-inch circulars, which are the Knit Red series, but they also have the red cable, which is very nice. I like these cables. I like them the best of everything I've tried before. And I don't own any other needle sets, just my Chiaogu, but I have many needles from Knit Pro and Haya, but this Chiaogu is my go-to brand. So if you want to use a 9-inch circular, you can't hold your knitting like you would with regular needles. If you use 9-inch, you more or less hold your knitting, your fabric. And it takes some time to get used to this way of knitting. But if you would like to try it, just find a pair and knit socks or leg warmers. Just knit, knit, knit. There's also a needle set like this. That is suitable. The Chiaogu Twist Short Combo. These are ideal for sleeve knitting. You have a somewhat larger and a smaller cable, and then you have 2-inch needle points and 3-inch needle points, and the cables are 5-inch and 6-inch. I'm sorry, 5 and 6. So ideal for sleeve knitting, if you are into garment knitting, of course. I also like to use fixed needles for my sock knitting in the size that I need. Because if you use the 9-inch circular, You can knit the heel flap and gusset on this, but it will be very crowded on your needles and not everyone likes that. So if you find it cumbersome, you can leave the stitches for the foot on the needle and use another needle for the heel flaps and picking up stitches, etc. That's a possibility. I would just use this, but well, if you're not used to these yet, that might be a bit of an effort. So like I said, sock knitting, if I have the right size, I'm also perfectly fine doing magic loop. If I'm knitting hats or a cowl like this, I like to use a needle somewhere in the size of, let me see, 16-inch or 24-inch. I don't know the inches by heart, so I need to check. So that you don't have to use a magic loop. The 16-inch is perfect for hats, and you can magic loop a hat, of course. If you only have longer needles, that's no problem. But if you are to buy a new needle for a certain project, just think about how many stitches you need it to hold. Because if you can avoid magic loop, that would be nice. And like I told earlier, this is my interchangeable needles in here and cable. And when I have the needle tips available, I like to put a smaller needle tip on the left hand side, because this needle is only there to hold the stitches, because you can't let them float around. This needle size, however, this is your gauge needle, so this determines how large your stitches are going to be. So this needle is important. This is just for parking. So it is something to consider. If you own a needle set with interchangeables, you might want to try it to put a shorter or a smaller needle on the left hand side if you are a right hand knitter. This project, I showed you this yesterday. This is just I showed you this yesterday because I had a mistake around here, and I said, oh, I'm going to leave it and I'm going to fix it later and duplicate stitch and whatever. And then I was done recording and I sat down there to edit, and I was like, Lynn, you are so going to regret if you don't fix this. So I ripped it out. That meant I had to rip this part out. I had to take all these stitches of the needle. I had to rip this out up till here. And then I knit it again. I knitted, picked up all the stitches and started knitting the fourth strip of my pentapillar pullover. Okay, so that was on a side note. For my pentapillar pullover, I only have 23 stitches active. When I purl these across, I'm going to work that way. So when I purl these, I purl 2 together here, but I only knit 23 stitches each time. But I do need a longer needle because I have to pick up all the stitches from the strip. And I could do it on a 16 or 24 inch, of course, but I just decided on a longer needle so that it was easier to shift the stitches around. Otherwise it would just be like this, of course, and you can knit something when it's all puckered up on your needle, but I have the needles, so I decided on this. So if you are going to buy a new needle for your project, ask yourself what length would be most convenient. Am I going to magic loop it? Can I avoid magic loop, and which length should I think about then? And is there something special going on, like in this sweater, that you have to pick up many stitches each time? When I was visiting the neighbors, I did bring some knitting, of course, and I'm knitting on Kirsty's sweater. Look, here is that. I just did a few rounds, and while we were talking and admiring the little baby girl, and once they put her in my arms, I didn't knit anymore, of course. But this is also a needle size in which I can fit all the stitches on my needle. So I have a beginning of round marker here, because I do need to keep track of my beginning of round, of course. And I like this size of needle because whenever I want Kirsty to try it on, I can just put the rubber band like cord on here and pull the stitches on the cord and leave the needle in there and have her try the sweater on. So, but this is a nice size to use knitting a sweater. Well, I think it's a nice size to use. One more thing, if you are going to switch from straight needles to circulars, and you can't, it takes a time to learn to knit like this, because you don't have a needle in your armpits anymore, then this might be a bit wobbly. But Xiaogu also carries an ergonomic line called the Knit Red. And with the Knit Red needles, the needles bend here, and if you are knitting, the bend is around here in your arm, so that gives you a little more grip maybe, and the connection from the cable to the needle is a little more to the back, so you don't have your the connection in your hand. So this is for protection of the cable to needle connection, and it gives you more grip to hold them like this. So if you are going to switch from straight needles to circular, you might consider a brand that has these curved needles. I'm pretty sure it's not just Xiaogu who has that. And like I said, this is not, I'm not trying to make a marketing YouTube. I'm just trying to explain different things to consider. So I hope you enjoy this info. If you have any questions, because I probably did not tell everything there is to know. I don't know if I know everything there is to know. Please ask questions or send me an email if you have any questions. or if you just need some advice, if you are in doubt whether you should decide on one or the other, I'm pretty sure that brands like Adi and Haya Haya and Likey and, well, Knitpro, whatever brand of circular needle there is, they have many opportunities and you can always find something to your liking. The most important thing is, of course, that you like the feeling when you knit and that you like the pointiness of the needle tips. So it's personal preference really, but if you have any questions and you think I could help, just drop me a line. For now, I'm going to make some dinner. It is 6 o'clock here. As you can see outside, it is getting dark, but we are really moving towards the light, so the days will be longer and longer. I will see you tomorrow and I wish you happy crafting. Bye!